you've heard, we are Wes Clark and Mike McDaniel. Today is the 30th of November, 2017, and we're here to talk about growing up in Burbank. And Mike is going to introduce me.
Wes Clark is our lead author here, and he was born in Los Angeles, attended Burbank schools, graduated in 1974, where we became friends years ago and have continued to be best friends for all these 40-some-odd years.
45.
45 years. Hey, we're up to that now? I thought it was 44. Oh,
Longer than some marriages.
yeah. Whoa. Anyway, he lived in Burbank till 1980, now lives in Northern Virginia. He works for the U.S. Patent and Trade Office, and he's interested in history and a lot of other stuff. He was in the Marine Corps from 74 to 78.
Any Marines here?
No Marines tonight?
Continue, Mike.
That's okay. Anyway, he's our webmaster. He's the guy who puts together our website, Burbankia, so that you can see it on all of your devices and whatever you're looking at now. And anyway, he wrote Civil War reenacting articles for a national magazine and manages 9 websites since 1996. And he's the co-author of Lost Burbank and...
I want to assure you, I am wearing pants in this picture. It doesn't look like it, but I am wearing pants. This handsome gentleman standing here is Mike McDaniel, born in Burbank, Burbank Community Hospital, attended Burbank schools, same graduation class as me, he's 1974. Lived in Burbank his entire life. He works for the city at the reprographics department. He's interested in history, especially World War II memorabilia. He's a member of the Veterans Committee, and they do wonderful work here. He assisted with the Burbank 100th Anniversary book. He's the head researcher of Burbankia, wrote the Burbank Veterans book, and he is the co-author of Lost Burbank. And here he is on Christmas morning. And what's your favorite toy there, Mike?
Oh, that was my Man from Uncle Thrush gun. You know? By the way, if you can find one of those, they go for about $800 on eBay now. Wish I still had mine.
Is anybody here from the Burbank Historical Society? Okay, well, we'll be seeing. Raise your hand if you're. Thank you very much. Let's have a round of applause for the Burbank Historical Society. We acknowledge the great work done by them since 1973 in preserving Burbank history. Many of the photos in the book that we're selling tonight come from the Burbank Historical Society.
Another thing is these portraits of James Jeffries over here after our presentation on Saturday at the Historical Society will be donated to the James Jeffries display, where they will be on permanent display for everybody to see.
Let's talk about the Burbankia website for just a little bit. There's the URL. It's at wesclark.com. All you have to do is remember the guy who ran for president in 2004, Wes Clark. Go to wesclark.com and you'll find Burbankia. Or you could Google it. That'll take you there too. It was created in December 2003, updated hundreds and hundreds of times since then. There are 207 text files, about 3,000 images. It's probably closer to 4,000 now.
Yeah.
There are 15 complete books and pamphlets about Burbank history, 61 videos associated with it, no ads. Thank you. Why growing up with Burbank, Mike?
Okay, well, last year we did our book Lost Burbank, and we had a lot of fun doing that, and we decided we wanted to do it again. And we proposed growing up in Burbank to our publisher, and they heartily accepted because apparently Lost Burbank was a big hit for them. Anyway, we enjoyed growing up in Burbank ourselves. We were born, I was born here, Wes moved here in the 60s, and there was no better place. Wes is always fond of talking about, we were riding out to dinner one night, and he and I were in the back of his parents' car, and he said, we love Burbank. You know,
my father couldn't believe it. He's from Brooklyn. Oh, you guys, you're just putting me on. No, Dad, we really like it here. You don't want to move to LA? No, we like Burbank.
So anyway, our book here was really welcomed by the publisher, and they were very agreeable to doing it again. So, and also Wes Clark's very competitive nature.
My competitive nature. What happened was we proposed this book to the History Press, and they said, oh, we'll have an example of one that we would like to see from you. So he sent me a book, Growing Up in San Francisco, and I read it, and I thought, oh, we can do better than this. Want to start us off?
Yeah, here we are, beautiful downtown Burbank. Everybody's familiar with that old phrase from Laugh-In and Johnny Carson. It's a general chapter. We describe the baby boomer era, the 50s, the 60s, and the 70s. It's just generally speaking. It says, how many of you in here were
How many of you are
born?
baby boomers?
Raise your hand.
Let's see a show of hands.
Yeah, that's what I'm
we
talking
thought.
about. I like that, you know. We have differences in outlook between the GI generation and the baby boomer generation.
Yeah, my father-in-law graduated from Burbank High in 1945. When he was a young man, the draft was on, registration, go to war. He thought he was going to go to war and die. He turned 90 years old last year, class of 45, and that's my father-in-law. He lives in Utah now, but that was his attitude. That's what he thought.
We love this photo from the Burbank High Seralvis. You have this giant soldier about to bayonet some hapless senior students down there. We haven't figured out what the thought pattern was behind this photo, but it seemed to have made the Seralvis.
We suspect there was a draft-age male in charge of the Seralvis that year.
So anyway, here's something else. Burbank is diverse in its everything. Technology and agriculture. You could buy wine here that was made here in Burbank. You could buy whiskey that was made here in Burbank by the 3G distillery. But at the same time, we had the SR-71 Blackbird, still arguably the best fighter, or non-fighter, but more spy aircraft ever made.
So consider that Burbankers were involved in one of the world's oldest professions.
That didn't work.
Yeah, maybe I didn't mean to say.
You need to rephrase.
One of the world winemaking, at the same time pushing the envelope with high-tech materials and electronics for the Blackbird. It's amazing, really. Chapter 2 is about San Fernando Valley. How many of you, well, do you recognize this place? Yeah. Where is it? Topanga Plaza.
That's correct.
What do you remember about Topanga Plaza in that great big courtyard? The monofilament fish line that was like 3 stories high that dripped mineral oil down onto an AstroTurf garden with a whole bunch of plastic. Remember that?
That was cool.
That was cool. I was 13 years old.
Yeah.
That blew my mind when I was 13. We talk about Topanga Plaza in this chapter, Sears at Valley Plaza, where I bought my first pair of bell-bottoms. How many of you ate at the Hollander Cafeteria in Glendale? Remember that place with the mosaic skating Dutchman and all that? Leon Steakhouse? Anybody? That was a place to eat. Busch Gardens in Van Nuys?
We're still suffering with the parrots.
The parrots? It's the gift that keeps giving.
Yeah.
Munt Stereo? Anybody buy your, yeah, okay. Sun Valley Junkyards?
I spent an eternity out there.
Cruising Van Nuys Boulevard, how many of you did that? Farrell's Ice Cream in Van Nuys?
Oh, yeah.
We had a Farrell's in Virginia when my kids were little. I promise, LA kids are a lot louder and more enthusiastic, more showmanship there than they are in Virginia with the Farrell's. It was disappointing. I ordered a trough and I finished it and there was no, you know, it's just like, eh.
Yeah, you did it.
Brand Library, one of my favorite spots. Hanson Dam. Hanson Dam, there is an age difference. If you're our age, Hanson Dam wasn't really a thing. If you're in the slightly older, the more mature cohort of the baby boomers, Hanson Dam was a big thing for you. Alex Theater in Glendale?
Yeah.
Of course.
Anyway, SoCal sojourns. Everybody grew up, you know, and your parents took you somewhere. You know, they always took you to places, you know, that you would enjoy. Here we have, can anybody identify?
Name that attraction.
This attraction? Yeah, okay.
It gets harder.
Yeah, oh, the
that's-
questions get harder, by the way.
That's me and my dad, 60 years ago at Disneyland. How
Can
about
you
this one?
recognize this dastardly looking youth here?
Where was this?
Knott's Berry Farm, yeah. Mouse Ear Mike, I still go by that.
Mouse Ear Mike. Yeah, I call him that all the time. How about this attraction? That's my
Wax
father and
Museum, yeah.
I. Movie Land Wax Museum. There are wax museums everywhere, but we had Movie Land. 1964, during the big monster fad and all that. How about that? Do you remember that?
It's off the 5 freeway down in
Yeah, if you went to Disneyland from here, you passed this, or Knott's Berry Farm, and it was an icon. You knew.
California is a wonderful place. We had a 60-foot neon windmill In Virginia, when I moved back east, I saw real windmills, and I looked at it and went, where's the neon? Where's the height? Where's the drama? How about that? 1960. Santa's Village. Santa's Village. It was kind of an underwhelming theme park, but it was great for little kids.
Yeah, little.
Well, I thought it was underwhelming when I was 13, when my mom dragged me back there again. It was nothing like Disneyland. What's the story there, Mike?
Yeah. Does anybody know where this is? Del Mar.
Where the turf meets
where the turf meets the surf, and you can hear
Del Mar.
Bing Crosby sing till today, even. You know. Anyway, back in the day, everybody went up and you had to shake Johnny Longden's hand. You know, and here I am down here, and my dad trying to get me to reach Longden.
What year?
And
What year?
Probably about 65.
And that's my father shaking the repainted statue in 1976.
We found it interesting that both of us had pictures
of that, yeah.
shaking the hand down there.
So, Southern California, we had racetracks, we had all sorts of places to go.
And their hot dogs were the best.
Okay,
at Del Mar.
chapter 4. This is wacky baby boomer crafts. Let's see a show of hands. How many of you used craft resin to make ashtrays, lighters, soap dishes, or tabletop grapes? Only one? Okay.
down here,
Two
yeah.
standard brands. How many of you had plain or gold vein mirror tiles in a room?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
we're
60s and 70s, okay. How many of you used power line insulators as decorative items?
Now we're getting more. All right.
Hemingway, right? Used to collect them. How many of you made clothing out of aluminum can pop tops?
Or jewelry.
Oh, you haven't lived. Those things
yeah.
were so horribly sharp and uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Made jewelry out of beads and safety pins? Some more, right? Had a doll with a knitted dress as a toilet roll cover?
Yeah.
How many of you had swag lights?
Oh, there we go. Now we're getting
Of the
a big
people who
crowd.
had swag lights, how many of you made them yourselves? There we go.
Yeah, all right.
How many of you used Luan or angel hair for decoration?
Does
What do you
anybody
remember about angel hair? You get it between your fingers, it's murder.
You remember though how if you put it across your fireplace mantle, it creaked, and you start with it like just over the edge, and by the end of Christmas, it's all the way to the ground.
I could tell what day of the month it was by looking at the angel hair.
It was sort of like an advent calendar.
How many of you used a printer's type drawer to display items? Little teeny tiny, yeah, that was a
there we go.
thing, right?
That was popular.
How many of you had potted plants and macrame holders? Oh, up there. I've got a photograph of my mom. My mom was big with that. And I've got a photograph of my father angrily grabbing a potted plant and making a face at it. How many of you ever antiqued a paint finish? That was huge in the 70s.
Yeah, that
Everything in
was
my
big
house
time.
was antiqued. All right, I need to explain this one. That's my father. And this is the den. This is where we watch television. Now, you will notice, do you remember ship's hatch tables, coffee tables? Made out of ship's hatches. Normally, they came encased in resin. They were, right? They were in a big block of clear resin. My mom liked that idea. She wanted to replicate that in her own way. So what she did is she bought some craft resin from standard brands, but it was the wrong kind of craft resin. So what she did was she put stamps, and you could see them over there on the end, all sorts of gas station giveaways, and she poured the craft resin over the coffee table where it solidified, and we had these little drips on the side, which I'd break off. Yeah, it was awful. It was a horrible mess. But the thing that was really memorable about this was the feature of the thermodynamics of craft resin were such that if you put something hot on it, like that green teapot, it would stick to the craft resin. And you had to wait until the teapot cooled down in order to lift the teapot from the table. So my dad got around that by putting newspapers on the table and then the teapot. What do you suppose happened? The heat transferred through the newspaper, causing the newspaper to stick to the craft resin ship's hatch table. It was an awful mess. Does everybody remember telephones like that? Let's go to standard brands. This is my dad's cabinet from October 1966. What I wanted to point out there was, and my mom hated this thing, by the way. He took a perfectly good piece of furniture, painted it avocado green, antiqued it, put the middle in scarlet, and that's Luan. Do you remember getting that Luan stuff from Standard Brands, that patterny stuff, and caused a lot of arguments. Go ahead, Mike.
And now here we go, shopping in Burbank. How many of you had the great experience of being on the Golden Mall? Yeah, there we go. Wasn't it great? I got to tell you, I enjoyed the Golden Mall a lot, and I was always down there. We had this pattern where we would get let off by our parents down at Thrifty's. We'd get our nickel cone, and we'd walk down all the way to Olive and then turn, and right about the time you got back to Save-Ons, your cone was gone, and then you went into Save-Ons and got another cone. And then you waited around over there for your parents to pick you up by Thrifty's, and you bought a cone for the trip home. So anyway, and you can tell
Which
where it all
explains
went.
much about our
Yeah, that's how we got this
physique.
way.
Yeah.
So,
Ed's Town Shop, Mike.
but anyway, how many of you bought something from Ed's Town Shop? All right, you people are right up my alley.
Now, were any of them bell-bottom pants? Yeah,
Yes.
flare leg pants, okay.
I had my, I'm going to date myself here, I had my disco suit custom made for me there. All blue velvet, three-piece down with the ruffled shirt, the
It
cufflinks.
was awesome. Even I fell in love with them when I first saw them. I gotta get a suit like that.
And then my 2-inch platforms were just awesome. You know, they tailor-made the pants to cut up right at the bottom of my heel on my 2-inch platforms. If I wear them today, they would drag like terrible, except I couldn't begin to get into it. So, although it does hang in my office at work. Anyway, how many of you bought an appliance that say Bars TV? Everybody, yeah. I think if you lived here, Bars TV wasn't just TV, it had stoves, refrigerators, radios.
We used to I'd take the box from a refrigerator, drag it over to my house on Lincoln Street, put it in the backyard, cut portholes and turn it into rocket ships with crayons in the middle, and then it would rain.
And we'd have to go back over to Bars TV.
How many of you shopped at Leonard's, ZODYS, or Unimart? Unimart fall apart, right?
I bought my first pair of bell-bottoms after my parents debated if I was going to become a hippie scum.
Yeah, you didn't become a hippie.
You know, they debated it. They sent me over and gave me money to buy myself a shake and sit there while they debated whether it was okay for me to have bell-bottoms or not. And so Leonard's holds a very special place for me.
Unimart, I got a 6-finger. Remember? 6-finger, man alive. How did I ever get along with 5? It was like a little pistol. It was a flesh coat. Okay,
Yeah,
never
and
mind.
you pulled the trigger and it shot out.
How many of you
your
bought
finger.
some weird item from the AKRON?
Yeah, there you
Yeah,
go.
the all-time best was this woman on a Facebook group said she bought Peter Mac sheets and burnt orange lasagna pans. It was that kind of a place.
How many of you ever bought milk in glass bottles from Jessup's? Now, I'm going to really push your buttons here. Did you buy them and have them delivered to your milk door? All right, we've got some here.
Hard to believe that
I
happened,
actually
isn't
still
it?
have my milk door at my house with the little dial where you put the fingers to tell them what you wanted. And I have a Jessup's milk bottle I just keep it in there. It's like a...
How many of you bought bell-bottoms at Miller's Outpost?
Yeah.
1970s. Rented something at Wanamaker Rents?
Oh, the whole place should have their hand up.
Got your Scout uniform or accessories at J.C. Penney?
Yeah, Girl Scout, Boy Scout, everybody, yeah.
And here's a Burbank thing. Entered through the rear of the store to shop. Wasn't that wild? You could see all the boxes and everything. It was like getting the backstage tour. Well, we promised that this book is about shopping from A to Z, and we go from AKRON to ZODYS. And ZODYS was an interesting place. My family used to shop there. My Brooklyn dad never liked it, and when Star Trek first came on TV, he said, why are those guys all wearing ZODYS pajamas?
I remember ZODYS, though, is my favorite thing is when I first walked up to it, they put up those prefab, I know they're now prefab, but then I didn't. They've got these things, and the concrete was poured into plastic, and it made those little indentations. And every time we walked by, I had to stick my fingers into the indentations. I walked the whole wall sticking my fingers into the indentations.
It is utterly unique in Southern California, I think. Chapter 6, the Burbank Unified School District. Okay, has anybody wondered why it's called the Unified School District? We've got somebody who knows. Okay, let's hear it.
It includes high school as well as elementary and junior high, right?
Well, that's generally correct. From the 1967 history of Burbank, the Burbank Union High School District and the Elementary City School District were united in 1927 and became the Burbank City School District with a City Board of Education and City Superintendent of Schools. Then in 1928, the name of the system was changed to the Burbank Unified School District. Okay, you get to vote. How many of you vote to remain calling it the Burbank Unified School District? How many of you want to change it to the Burbank School District? And how many of you don't care? Yeah, that's pretty much, boy, do I know Burbankers. Go ahead, Mike.
All right, this is one of our favorite things that we like to do when we find old photos of Burbank. As a sideline, last night we went through nearly 4,000 photos that we came across from the city. And they're very interesting. You'll be seeing them on Burbankia in the future here. But this photo it reminds me of my first grade class. You've got all sorts of interesting things. I played with blocks just like these, and I'm sure many of you did too.
So did you.
But you got the paintings back there. You've got that little girl, Mickey Mouse Club T-shirt there.
How many of you are Mouseketeers? Yeah, right.
And I like these guys over here. These are future engineers. They built this runway that has some flaws in it, and this guy's propeller isn't going, but note this guy's is. So
Now, if you look at these closely enough, you'll see that first of all, that airplane was built by the Seaver Toy Company in Burbank, California.
Who can tell me where the Seaver Toy Company was? It was on the corner of Lake and Olive Avenue. It's now the back lot of the Burbank Water and Power. And they build toys there, and they're highly collectible.
And the thing that I like is, see the little girl painting up there? That's either Edvard Munch's Scream or a portrait of Joseph Stalin. We're not sure
Yeah, we
which.
haven't figured it out yet.
Haven't figured that one out.
I like the Venetian blinds.
The Venetian
Yeah, the
blinds.
Venetian blinds in there.
There we are, Burbank kids from the 1950s. What do you notice?
Yeah, what do you notice about here? There's interesting things.
How about the little girls who look like they're 40 years old? Because that's the way kids dress back then.
Some of the boys follow. You notice there's kind of an arch right here. These guys all look like they're seriously older, and then her,
But what we noticed was, we like Mr. Northwoods over here.
Love that shirt.
And the Hawaiian shirts, which were pretty cool. Mike likes the one at the top, right?
Yeah, I like the guy up there in the corner. That one's got those little, what do they call it? Those Hawaiian lei things, the flowers. I can't think of the name.
I don't know. I'm from Burbank.
Yeah, so am I.
And the ever-classic boy shirt with the horizontal bars across it, right? A 1950s thing.
And then there's plaids all in there, too. All right, we knew this would bring out emotions.
We knew we would hear Oz when we put this one up. If you're on a Burbank Facebook group and you want to start a conversation thread that's at least 150 lines long, you just mentioned this place, the Dip. Now, Paul Rosen was the name of the fellow who worked there, and his sister Gail Tack. What I remember about Gail was that she moved like a dancer, because she was a dancer. She was a ballerina. And I think I fell in love with Gail when I was 16. I used to go there every day to get a vanilla malt, and I would just watch Gail. Paul told me all-time greatest dirty joke. I still remember it. I'm not going to repeat it here. Sorry. And the Dip was just a wonderful, wonderful memory for all of us.
I worked there in his high school. I remember Gail and Paul.
Tell the joke then, please.
No, I'm not telling the joke. My wife made me promise I wouldn't. Mike?
Here's, oh boy, we got some Oz
There's
out
some
of that one.
recognition.
I got to tell you, this is the way it is. Sargent's was over on Wes's end of town, and Don's was up by my
My
end of
mom
town.
worked at Sargent's.
And his mom worked there too. But if you ate at any of these guys, I've never been able to find anyone who makes a hamburger quite like they did. Don's, or pancakes. Their breakfasts were awesome. It's a shame that they're all gone, but you can still relive a moment of it because the Dawn sign, the neon one that's on this side, is at the Historical Society, and they light it up for you if you ask.
They still have fried chicken because it's Gus's now.
Well, it's Gus's fried chicken, but it just ain't the same. But anyway,
Nothing's quite the same when we were young, right?
Nothing is like the Burbank food that we remember from children.
Sargent's, what do you remember about Sargent's? Does everything? Hush puppies, right? Oh, they were wonderful. little fried corn bready things that I could eat about 15 or 20 of them when I was a...
And then there's all sorts of strange places that we used to have here in Burbank. The Chief Diner. This was we like these places because you can still eat at one. There's a pizza stand that's over there by Valhalla, and it has 2 tables, and they're out in front in the street. So, and these were all designed to feed the Lockheed work crews during the day. And there used to be tons of them up and down Hollywood Way and around. Lockheed actually published a little map that had a circle of where you could walk in your lunch hour to a place and eat and still get back to your thing before the bell rang.
Does anybody remember the Lincoln Cafe on Lincoln Street? My mom managed it.
It's Rocky's now, yeah.
It's Rocky's now. Rocky's going out of business. They're moving. That's going to be a roofing company. But yeah, I never ate. I used to work at Lockheed. I never ate at the Chief Diner.
How many, any of the smorgasbords here in Burbank? King Swede, the Little
Swede.
Viking, you know, gosh,
The
that
most
was
rubbery and tasteless Jell-O ever.
And Kiko's Mexican food, at one point in time, that was one of the few places around here you could get good Mexican food.
How many of you like Genio's? Remember Genio's? My parents and I, we went there every weekend. When I was in the Marines, I'd come home from Camp Pendleton, and we'd inevitably wind up at Genio's.
The funny thing is, go ahead.
My family owns it.
Oh, wow.
Oh, let's give him a round of applause. It was obviously a fondly remembered business here in town. Chapter 8, leisure time. Okay, for some reason unknown to me now, this is how much I think into the future. I knew that when I was 61, I would want to get a picture of climbing up to the top of the chimney and getting my Instamatic and shooting my father, who was sitting on an inflatable raft in the pool. That's what he used to do. There's a lot of pools in Burbank, and there's a lot of very tan people, and he used to turn red and all shit. He never got tan, he just got red. But that was one of the things we did back then, leisure time in Burbank.
And more, how many remember all of our parks? Burbank has great parks, and one of the things that Burbank was good at was they brought in the Park and Rec department. Many of you know Mickey is on the park board here, and the bottom line, you can go there, do crafts, you could play baseball, you could play football, you could play caroms. Who remembers caroms? How many of you played caroms? Wasn't that great? It was just a fantastic thing. The other game you could play with caroms was maze. I loved maze. And I remember what we used to do is we had these little bottles of ground fiberglass. I don't think they make them anymore because you're probably not supposed to sniff the ground fiberglass. But you'd spray the ground fiberglass on there and you'd hit that thing and it'd fly all over the place and right off the edge.
No idea. Where did you get ground fiberglass?
It came in jars with or little squirt
Standard
bottles.
brands?
No, it came with the carom board.
Okay, you know what we want to mention here?
Yes.
Check out that hairstyle. Ladies, how much Aquanet would that have required?
Yeah.
That is a serious 1960s hairstyle. The thing we like about this one, there's a number of details. Number one is the kid with the United States Marine Corps t-shirt. He's my favorite. But look what he's doing. Do you all remember GIMP?
You remember that?
Also known as boondoggle. Also known
Lanyards.
as lanyard. Also known as vinyl covers. Yeah. Wherever you are in the country, it changes name. But I used to make GIMP all the time. And that's what they're doing. They're making these enormous lengths of GIMP.
I like the fact that this guy, look at his pants. He's just, you know, he's cool down there. And this poor little girl over here, she just forgot her shoes and they all showed up. But look at how intent they are in what they're doing. It's just amazing, all of the fun things. Can anybody, though, now tell me where this photo was taken?
It's in a school where there's a lunch.
No, that's Olive Rec. It's Olive Rec. They used to have this area that was fenced off on the one side over there, and you could go out there and sit. You know, the doors are still inside the gym, yeah, but they don't have this outside area anymore. But that was where everybody used to go out and play.
And there's a fascinating story, I think it's in this book, where a Burbanker lady tells us about Burbank during World War II, and she was out, I think she was taking trash to the incinerator. Remember when we had incinerators and you burn your trash, right? Which explains why Southern California was so brown during the summer. And then she bumped into a soldier, And she looked at the soldier, he looked at her, they looked at each other, and then he kind of moved away embarrassed, and she was embarrassed. But that's what happened. That's what Burbank was like during World War II. Oh, here's your favorite.
Oh, this is mine. Does anybody know where this was? Close. It's on Verdugo in San Fernando, just behind the Savoy Hotel, if anyone remembers the Savoy. The Airway bowling lanes. I spent a good portion of my childhood in there bowling. My father was a big bowler, and he paid for my bowling ball, and I have my name engraved on it, still have it. And anyway, I was in a child's league here, and we bowled every weekend. And that was a big culture here, because around the corner from here was the Burbank Bowl. Then there was Marlindo Lanes out here, and then you had the Pickwick and what? Yeah, down on Magnolia. And then there was, what was the one in Glendale? Starlight Bowl over in Glendale, which
I never bowled.
the front of it is still over there. Disney's just kind of incorporated it into their compound. So,
Ladies and gentlemen, is this an attractive building? One of the things we've noticed about old pictures of Burbank is Burbank wasn't an excessively good-looking place back in the 40s and 50s and 60s. Vacant lots everywhere, and
yeah.
but our memories are golden of it.
There you go, yeah. How many
Ernie
remember the
Steingold.
van? All
Ernie
right, now look at how
Steingold.
many people remember that van.
His 1975 GMC California Fantasy panel van, but look, the guy worked out with weights. I mean, it's no denying those are some pecs and
He
abs
needed
are-
to be that strong just to open the doors.
Yeah, we had to give away a copy of the book in order to get the
To
rights
secure
use
this picture.
But
But the van still exists. It's at the Peterson Auto Museum.
yeah, you can see the van. This is an early example of digital text messaging. John Z, without a cell phone, you'll notice. Mike Kurthy, Marty Scott work on a Pontiac Bonneville on Parish Place, 1977. We have a lot of pictures of guys in their cars in this, because this is Southern California. Guys, cars, guys, right? Tell us about the Quag,
Yeah,
Mike.
the Quag. Okay, does anyone know what the Quag was? And that's why we put it in here. The Quag is, anybody recognize, what is this thing we're looking for?
Short for Quagmire. Short for
Quagmire is what it's
Quagmire.
short for.
It's the Burbank Channel and the LA River coming together.
Right, that's where LA and Burbank come together. Now, I'm not going to tell you exactly where this is because you can actually still drive down in there.
Yeah, we confirmed that this morning.
Yes, we confirmed you can drive.
And
If
it
you so
smells
desire,
exactly like
you can
the Lockheed
drive under
wash.
Burbank. And but this side here is the one that heads into Burbank, and that's LA because that takes you along the Ventura Freeway.
So
on the
why
other
do we
side.
have a picture of the Quag in this book in Chapter 10, Hooligans? Because some really interesting and innovative recreational activities were enjoyed by young men in the Quag.
In the Quag, driving
It
under
involved
Burbank?
gasoline, old cars, fires, smoke coming out of manhole covers.
Yeah.
Interesting story.
You will. We're not going to give it all away, but you have to read that section because it's just amazing.
They look like hooligans, and actually they were. This is George Marcineau. He flies helicopters around. Cool guy. He's from
You've
our
probably seen
graduating
him in the
class.
sky, at least.
And there's his 34 Ford Coupe in 1974. And that's Harrison Ford. No, it isn't. It's Corey Frederickson from the class of 1974. He was here a little earlier, helped us out. That's a 69 GT 350 Shelby Mustang in 1973. Who whistled? Yeah, you wish you had that, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, no kidding. How much is it worth now? Who knows?
Also, Corey Frederickson, who was in that picture, he's also responsible for finding these photos out in the Northridge estate sale.
Did you ever
Uh-oh.
TP anybody?
Yeah. Anybody ever TP?
Yeah.
Oh, come on. Get those hands
come
up.
on,
You know.
admit it.
I
Yeah,
can't
okay,
count
now
how
the
many
truth's
people
coming
I
out.
TP'd.
Now
And
the
this is
truth's coming out.
revenge.
That's,
I am.
that's Mike in 1979. His girlfriends TP'd his house. Aww.
All right, Chapter 11, Working Stiffs.
You got it.
Oh, sorry. Anyway, from Lockheed to Laugh-In, Burbank's Glamour Industries. Can anybody, look at these happy people working here in Burbank. Did you guys go to work and feel that happy and take pictures? Does anybody tell me where this is? Anybody recognize the background there? It's the ladies section in Burcal's on the mall. You know.
Burcal on the mall.
And here we are in the men's section at Burcal.
It's a sale.
And everything's 50% off.
Anniversary
here.
sale.
And I love the belts. They're all so thin. You know, so.
I like the crew cut.
Yeah, the crew cut there. When you get the book, look at this picture a lot because there are so many interesting things in it. You look at the prices on these things and the people coming through. Check out the hairstyles and everything. You got high hair, you got low hair. It's just an amazing photo.
Hair at all different levels, including the level of my hair.
Yeah, some people who have some still.
Chapter 12, Media in the Media City. One of the interesting things about growing up in Burbank, and this blows my kids away, they were raised in Virginia, is, Tim Burton was, he went to my school. He did? Yeah, I was in the class of 76. He was some freshman when I was a senior. We didn't care about it. This is taping the Dean Martin show at NBC. A lot of cool things happened in Burbank because there were stars everywhere and we bumped into them, didn't we?
Yeah.
And that's one of the really unique things. That's your heritage as a Burbanker. Was the entertainment industry. It was great.
One of the things about this studio at NBC, it was also later the same studio they filmed Laugh-In in. So there's a deep Burbank history in that studio.
And you could have a film crew on your street at any given time. Here they are in 1962. This was given to us by the Cabin family. There's Alan Ladd. And just filming out in Burbank. You see Burbank all the time in movies and television.
The one that really gets to us is the Wonder Years, and we mentioned that on the back of the book. Kevin Arnold's locker in the show was 2 down from my locker at Muir. And so I had 28 and he had like 32. And so it always, and we're the same exact age as the way the show talks about it.
Yeah, he was 16 in 1972.
Yeah.
That's an excellent show, by the way. Very well written. And we had our own, remember those Warner Brother 2 record Lost Leader sets? Yeah, well, we had one, Burbank, Chicago. Okay, let's name these characters. Who's that?
Engineer Bill.
All right.
And what do you remember about Engineer Bill?
Red light, green light.
Red light, green light, right? How about the one in the middle? Chuck Jones, the Magic Man.
And yeah, nobody remembered that one.
And,
Sheriff John.
of course, Sheriff John. No, who said Elvira? That is Mona Lisa.
Forerunner to
How
Elvira.
many of you men didn't watch Mona Lisa? I was crazy about her. H-O-B-O-K-E-L-L-Y.
This is my favorite over here.
How about Seymour?
What
Remember
was his-
Seymour?
What was his catchphrase?
You didn't stay up late on Saturday.
Can
to watch
anybody
TV. You were
remember
out
his
dating or
catchphrase?
something.
I still use his catchphrase today. Did anybody remember it? He always used to call everybody fringies because you're on the fringe of reality when you watched his show.
Local broadcasting was wonderful, and I'm sorry we don't have it now. What do you notice about this photo? And this will test.
Somebody said it in the back.
Are you from the East Coast? He's not wearing a shirt, and it's December or November. This
Welcome
blows
to sweaty
people away
Christmas.
in Virginia. What's he doing up there without a shirt in November, putting up Christmas? That's what California is like. It's hard to explain to my kids.
And here, we're going to start a little town of Burbank here. How many of you remember the huge up on the hill, all of the Christmas displays where they had Santa arriving via helicopter, you know? I mean, every Christmas it was exciting for me. My parents would have to hold me down and listen to me endlessly bug them to drive me up there so that I could see all of the displays. We used to go through there so slow we'd always get honked at. And but anyway, this here is a representation. The Burbank Valley Garden Club and Park and Recreation Department of the city gave these awards for people who exhibited the spirit of Christmas in their yard displays.
1967.
And we thought we would show this because these things, you know, only the person who got the award, you know, really knew about these things. But Burbank was very big, and we still do. Every year, the Public Information Office posts the top 20 Christmas displays to go see, and the ones that got the awards and everything for the current year. So look for that in your utility bill.
There I am, age 4. My dad worked at Lockheed, I worked at Lockheed. My father-in-law worked at Vega, and big Lockheed family. Dad would take me to the LERC Christmas party. How many of you have been to the LERC Christmas party? You get a toy, wouldn't you? Santa would hand you a toy. This is the Olive Rec Center, 1960. And look at that look on my face. It's like theatricality there. How many of you played in storm drains? Yeah. Why were we playing in storm? The city of Burbank was creating these wonderful, interesting, safe parks for us, and we're an industrial quag playing. And yeah, I remember going through the one under Buena Vista with a rolled up newspaper and a torch, like I was Tom Sawyer, making my way under the. Yeah, we played in storm drains.
We, on my block where I live, because I still live there, they put in the storm sewers, those big 4-foot pipes, you know, and they connected them all. But they had this open trench. There was no fence around it, no safety, anything around that, just an open trench with all of these pipes in there. What we would do is we would jump down in the hole with our skateboards. We'd walk in the tube up to the top of the block, and then we'd get on our skateboard and we would ride it down through the tube.
Can you imagine letting your kids do that today?
If we did that today, boy, they would come unglued. The police would be all over us.
And I am here to tell you, if you played in storm drains as a child and you want a real quick time trip, just go to the quag where Mike described and take a nice deep breath of that rotten vegetation and everything. Takes you right back. It was wonderful.
And the water is still as nasty as it was when we played it.
The Cornell Theater.
You recognize that. Good.
What does everybody remember about the Cornell Theater? Sticky floors.
Yeah.
It was like watching a film in a flypaper.
Does everybody remember what the joke was? You used to wear 2 pairs of pants, one to leave stuck to the seats and the other to walk home. I don't know. I mean, everybody I knew, you're going to the Cornell, well, get out your second pants, you know.
But anyway, that's when it opened in, what, 1948, 47, something like that, 40.
Yeah.
And when it was brand new,
yeah,
that's
this is
what the Cornell looked
opening
like.
day.
When it was nice and shiny and new.
The Golden Mall.
Beautiful downtown Burbank.
Right.
All right, I'm going to tell you a story. You know, everybody knows Gary Owens, right? He used to have his finger in his ear and he would talk like... Here's how he got the job. George Schlattler, the producer of Laugh-In, was in the smokehouse, and he met Gary Owens in the men's room of the smokehouse. And Gary Owens, he heard him say, "My, the acoustics are good here." And the producer said, "That's the voice I want. That's it right there." That's how he got the job, because of the men's room at the smokehouse.
At the smokehouse.
Everybody remember the Orange Julius place on the...
They had the best hot dogs and the best the Orange Julius itself. Do you know what the secret ingredient in the Orange Julius was? Malt.
Malt, yeah. Okay.
Malt was what made Orange Julius's taste like they did.
Yeah, we tried making them at home, but
yeah,
it's not
it never worked out, but that was the secret ingredient.
Sometimes you can go home again. If you don't live in Burbank, whenever I come out here, one of the things I do is run around and relive experiences from 50 years ago. It's 60 years ago. Here's one of the places you can go, Pinocchio, Monte Carlo. And I remember dining with those World War I airplane pictures up there. They were there in 1966. They haven't changed, and I don't want them to. Do we want them to change? No, we don't.
Here is the biggest fight you'll find in Burbank.
The second biggest fight.
Second biggest fight, but the choices are Giamelli's or Santoros.
So let's see, show of hands. Santoros.
Santoros, we'll start there, okay. All right, who said Giamelli's?
Giamelli's. It breaks down okay.
Yeah, that's about half and half.
I say second biggest fight because we all know when the first biggest fight is. That's Burroughs versus Burbank, the homecoming game, right? Okay.
But anyway, in this chapter, though, we detail an entire vacation to Burbank if you don't live here anymore. We tell you where to stay, we tell you where to eat, we tell you what to see, we tell you when to go there. It's you don't have to plan anything.
Yeah, we've all got a plan in the last
start
chapter.
At A and work your way to Z, and you'll have an entire week's worth of Burbank
give it to your
experience.
Burbanker friends who live in other states or elsewhere. And
just like it was 1960s.
have a great time. Talleyrand. great place. This is where you meet Burbankers from bygone eras. Mike, last time Mike and I ate there,
Yep.
we met a church associate of his and
Yeah.
somebody I last saw in the 70s.
He was a former Rams front lineman in the 60s, and he lives here in Burbank now. So, question?
Yeah, I just want to make a comment because you mentioned Frank's Restaurant in here. Back in the day, that was Al Frank's because there were two partners, Al and Frank, and they split up, and Al Thomas founded the Tally.
1959. Do you all remember that fox hunting scene in the back room of the Talleyrand? They had those cartoon foxes running along, and, well, they're gone, but Talleyrand, the food's still great?
My father was very good friends with George and Al Thomas, and on Saturday mornings we used to get to go back there, and my dad would talk horse racing with them. And my greatest joy in life was I knew I was going there because Al would give me a big cup of custard that they had just made, and oh, that was good stuff. And I got to sit by the butcher block and eat the custard.
You got a hand going, oh, please, please, sir. That's it. Well, hang on a minute. Okay, Auto Books, Aero Books. This place has been here since 1951, 1950. And we're going to be doing a book signing there on Saturday morning. But what's really cool about that is because they have, it's like Bob's Big Boy on Friday nights. There's all sorts of people coming there with cars. We saw Jay Leno last time we did a book signing. He did not buy a copy of our book.
We were very upset
Even though
with
he's
Jay,
in it.
you know.
It was really funny. He just blew me off entirely.
Yeah, it was very
Thanks,
strange.
Jay.
We were waiting for him. We were looking and we were excited. Jay's going to see
Oh,
us
he's
in our
coming.
book.
Here he is,
and
Jay
he's in
Leno.
our book. We were going to show him and he's just like, and walked by.
All right. Why buy this book? This is a fun book. It really is. Something in it will jog a memory. We promise.
It makes a terrific Christmas present for your friends and family who don't live here anymore and they've gone elsewhere.
And you could show your Burbank pride when it's sitting on your coffee table. Hopefully not stuck, to the craft room. All right, we have some good news. Next year, confirmed today, we just learned this today, there will be a third Burbank book that we've written. It's entitled Burbank Stories, Tales from Los Angeles' Most Surprising Suburb. That was approved for publication by the History Press. It'll be the last book of the Burbank trilogy. We promise you will like this book as well. You may think you know what a wild and wacky place Burbank can be, and we thought we did, but holy cow, the stories in this will surprise you.
The book is nothing but things that we have discovered since we wrote this book. And it's all new information.
All new information, doesn't appear anywhere else.
It's not just modern stuff.
And not in any Burbank books of history, because we've read all those. This is all new material.
It's all brand new, and it's all history you've never seen, and it's really, really peculiar.
And last but not least, Wes wants an excuse to come back to town next year and do no book signing flash. I like these a lot. Okay, time to do videos.
Is anybody's birthday today?
Birthday, anyone?
Anyone in the last week? Next week? Next week? Okay. She's our target audience.
All right, sing with me. You all know the lyrics to the song. I know you do.
Everybody ready?
Put another candle on my birthday cake. We're gonna bake a birthday cake. Put another candle on my birthday cake. I'm another year old today. Happy birthday to you. You're another year old today. Happy birthday. Now, Detroit Furniture on Magnolia. Pretend you're at the California Theater, which would be right around here. We're going to go down the street. We're driving down North California Street. Houses look pretty much the same as they do now, don't they? There's a great-looking Ford panel truck there. Just to solidify that this is many years ago. There's a Spanish-style house, one of those Spanish things you see in Burbank all the time. We've got another one here that I think the owner wasn't all that great on upkeep. Let's see.
There's my house.
Seriously? There's your house? All right. There's the place that needs landscaping. And there's what I call Tom Sawyer's fence. There's another Tom. Okay, now we're turning, going right on West Clark Avenue. West Clark Avenue. What gives it away as being old? Well, the cars. Every now and then you see one of those great coupes, one of those great sedans go by. and the trees. Now we're taking the left onto North Lima. Lima?
Lima.
There's one of Burbank's celebrated alleys. We've got a ton of alleys. And what's notable here is garage door port. There's the modern house with the garage door portholes. Everybody else is rancher style, traditional. He's got portholes in his.
Why was this footage shot?
It was shot for a movie, but we don't know which movie. It was shot, I believe it was Columbia footage.
Yeah.
And I think that, here's the larger than average house, still there, whole bunch of foliage in the front. North Avon intersection, there goes another great 1940s car. There's a white picket fence, and there's the kid looking at the studio truck going by. Media City, right? This kind of thing happens in Burbank. And then, guys working with bags. Well, no, they're not bags. Last time we showed this, they're newspapers. They're folding newspapers. They're getting ready to distribute newspapers. Another white picket fence, another turn, another great looking car. Now, we're headed on Verdugo towards Whitnall Highway. More great looking cars. Why can't they make them like that? There's the path. You start up at the top near California Theater, go down California, take a turn on Clark, down Lima, Verdugo, and then heading up
Whitnall Highway briefly.
It was shot as a sequence for some movie. And now we will be happy to sign books.
Yeah.
Thank you.